In the quiet town of Willow Creek, nestled among rolling hills and maple-lined streets, lived Eleanor Hayes, a 68-year-old widow whose days had once revolved around the simple joys of family and routine. Her husband, Thomas, a soft-spoken mechanical engineer with a knack for fixing anything mechanical, had passed away suddenly 8 months earlier from a massive stroke. It happened one ordinary Tuesday morning while they were sharing coffee on the back porch, watching birds at the feeder. Thomas had just reached for her hand, smiled, and said, "Ellie, you're still the prettiest girl I ever met." Then his eyes glazed over and he slumped forward. By the time the ambulance arrived, he was gone. Eleanor had spent the months since in a fog of grief, moving through their modest 2-story colonial home like a ghost. The house, with its creaky wooden floors, faded floral wallpaper, and shelves full of family photos, felt both comforting and suffocating. Their only son, Marcus, 42, had stepped in more frequently after the funeral, helping sort paperwork, mowing the lawn, even suggesting practical changes. "Mom, this house is too big for one person. The upkeep alone. Maybe it's time to think about downsizing," he'd say gently, his hand on her shoulder. Eleanor would nod, appreciating his concern, though something in his eyes, a fleeting calculation,
Marcus
nagged at
had
her
always been
subconsciously.
ambitious. Eleanor and Thomas had sacrificed to put him through college, where he earned a business degree and entered real estate. He married Sophia, a sharp, stylish woman with a marketing background, and together they climbed the social ladder. New cars, designer clothes, exotic vacations posted on social media. Eleanor noticed the growing distance over the years, fewer family dinners, shorter visits, but she told herself it was normal. Children grow up and build their own lives. One crisp October afternoon, Eleanor was in her garden, pruning the rose bushes Thomas had planted decades ago, when her phone rang. She wiped her hands on her apron and answered. It was Marcus. His voice was brisk, almost detached. "Mom, quick update. Sophia and I got an incredible opportunity in California. Tech real estate venture. Huge potential. We're flying out tomorrow. I went ahead and sold the family cabin upstate and your old sedan. Needed the liquidity to get started. I'll wire you a portion of the proceeds. Should cover you for a while. Love you. Gotta run." The line went dead before she could respond. Eleanor stood motionless among the roses, the pruning shears dangling from her hand. The cabin, their sanctuary on Lake Harmony. Thomas had bought the land when Marcus was 10, and they'd built the log cabin together over summers, hammering nails, laying the stone fireplace, stringing lights on the dock. Countless memories flooded her. Marcus's first fish caught off the pier, Thanksgiving turkeys roasted in the outdoor oven, lazy evenings on the porch swing with Thomas's arm around her. And the sedan? A 1998 Buick Thomas babied like a classic. Weekly washes, oil changes every 3,000 miles, the faint scent of his aftershave still lingering on the seats. It was the car they'd driven on their honeymoon to Niagara Falls. 42 years of motherhood, nights up with fevers, college tuition from overtime shifts, endless support, and Marcus had liquidated their shared history with a phone call. He'd treated her like an inconvenience to be bought off. But as the initial shock ebbed, a strange calm settled over Eleanor. She took a deep breath, inhaling the scent of damp earth and roses, and something stirred in her memory. 2 weeks before Thomas's death, during one of his quieter evenings, he'd handed her a thick leather portfolio tied with string. "Allie, my love," he'd said, eyes serious, "put this in the attic safe. Don't open it unless I'm gone, and even then, only when you're ready. It's for you, and for Marcus if he
she
ever
watched
needs
their
guidance."
sleek SUV pull away hours later, packed with designer luggage, Sophia waving excitedly. They never looked back. Eleanor picked up the phone and dialed Lydia Grant, the family attorney who'd handled Thomas's basic will and estate. "Lydia, it's Eleanor Hayes. I need your help, discreetly." Over coffee in Lydia's oak-paneled office, Eleanor laid out the portfolio.
Lydia's eyes widened. Eleanor, this is extraordinary. Thomas was brilliant. Everything's legitimate. You're sole beneficiary of the holding company. The cabin sale? Fraudulent. Marcus had no authority. We can void it quietly, return it to you. Same with the Buick, if traceable. Do it, Eleanor said firmly, and transferred direct control of all assets to me. But no one knows, not yet, especially not Marcus. Lydia nodded, impressed. Understood. This will take a few weeks. In the interim, Eleanor embraced her role as the abandoned widow. She shopped at discount stores, accepted casseroles from concerned neighbors, and spoke softly of her tight budget. Whispers spread through Willow Creek. Poor Eleanor. Marcus just up and left for California, sold everything out from under her. Inside, she studied Thomas's investments with Lydia's guidance, learning about dividends, property management, market trends. She discovered Marcus had been delinquent on rent for their loft, treating it as his own while leveraging it for risky loans on failed flips. 3 weeks later, Lydia called. Cabin's yours again. The rushed buyers accepted a refund. Buick's recovered too. Loft control transferred. You're in full command. Thank you, Lydia. Now, monitor Marcus's situation. I have a feeling things won't go smoothly in California. Eleanor wasn't wrong. Marcus's huge opportunity was a flashy startup pitched by Sophia's connections, luxury short-term rentals in Silicon Valley. They poured the cabin and car money in, plus loans against their assets. But the market was saturated, regulations tightened, and investors pulled out. Within 2 months, the venture collapsed. The first desperate call came in December. Mom, it's Marcus. Things didn't work out. The deal fell through. Sophia's stressed. We're short on rent here. Could you spot us a few thousand? I'll pay you back. Eleanor's heart twisted, but she steeled herself. I'm sorry, sweetheart. After the sales, I'm barely covering bills. Neighbors have been helping with groceries. Silence. Oh, right. Okay, we'll figure it out. A week later, Mom, the landlord's threatening eviction. Banks are calling about loans back home. Sophia's talking about separating. She says I dragged her into this mess. Eleanor listened, voice gentle. That sounds awful. I wish I could help more. By January, Sophia left, taking half their remaining funds and filing for divorce. Marcus, alone in a tiny studio, lost his job when credit checks revealed mounting debt, over $180,000 in loans, many using the loft as phantom collateral. The breaking point came in February. Mom, I'm coming home. I've got nothing left. Can I stay in my old room, just till I get on my feet? Of course, son. This is always your home. Marcus arrived on a Greyhound, duffel bag in hand, looking 10 years older, unkempt beard, hollow eyes, clothes rumpled. He collapsed into Eleanor's hug, sobbing. I messed up, Mom. Everything. I'm so sorry. They sat at the kitchen table where Thomas once carved Sunday roasts. Marcus poured out the story. Sophia's pressure for bigger risks, his arrogance believing he could flip properties like his father, but without the patience. The shame of realizing he'd sold sacred family memories for a pipe dream. Eleanor made tea, listening without judgment. She suggested he apply for local jobs, anything to start fresh. He took a night shift stocking shelves at the supermarket, then a daytime gig delivering groceries. Rejections piled up due to his credit, but he persisted. Neighbors clucked sympathetically. Marcus Hayes, back from the big city, stocking shelves. What a fall. Eleanor watched him come home exhausted, feet blistered, eating simple meals of soup and bread. He helped around the house without asking, like fixing the leaky faucet like Thomas taught him, shoveling snow for elderly neighbors. Humility crept in. One night, after a 12-hour double shift, Marcus broke down. Mom, I treated you like garbage. Dad built something real, and I cashed out our history for nothing. I don't deserve your forgiveness. Eleanor hugged him. Forgiveness isn't earned by deserving, Marcus. It's given.
But understanding,
Grief had
that
buried
comes
the
from
memory.
walking the path. Funeral arrangements, condolences, loneliness, they'd overwhelmed her. She'd placed the portfolio in the attic without a second thought. Now, with Marcus's betrayal fresh, she climbed the pull-down ladder, dust dancing in the slanted light, and retrieved it. Her hands trembled as she untied the string. Inside were meticulously organized documents, property deeds, stock portfolios, bank statements, and a handwritten letter in Thomas's precise engineer's script. My dearest Ellie, if you're reading this, I'm no longer beside you, and for that, I'm sorry. I never wanted to leave you alone. Over 45 years, you've been my anchor, my joy. I kept this from you not out of distrust, but love. I invested our savings quietly, side projects, real estate flips, tech stocks in the early days, silent partnerships. We're not just comfortable, Ellie. We're secure. The house is paid off, but so are 4 rental properties in town, a small commercial strip downtown, and accounts totaling over $5 million. One property is the luxury loft building where Marcus and Sophia live, owned through a holding company to keep things discreet. I wanted Marcus to build his life on merit, not inheritance, to love us for who we are, not what we have. Use this wisely, my love. Protect yourself. And if Marcus ever strays, guide him back, not with anger, but with the truth he needs to hear. Forever yours, Thomas. Eleanor sank onto an old trunk, tears streaming as she pored over the papers. Bank balances with commas she'd never imagined. Deeds to charming bungalows rented to young families. The downtown strip with a coffee shop, bookstore, and boutique that generated steady income. And yes, the upscale loft building on Riverside Drive, where Marcus boasted about his prime real estate investment. Thomas had owned it outright for 15 years. Marcus had no idea. That evening, Eleanor sat at the kitchen table with a cup of chamomile tea, the portfolio spread before her. Anger flickered, then cooled into resolve. No, direct confrontation would only breed defensiveness. She'd let consequences teach the lesson Thomas had always believed in. Actions have weight. The next morning, Marcus called again, voice syrupy. "Hey, Mom, just checking in before we board. The money from the sales hit your account. 20% for you. Generous, right? We'll visit soon once we're settled. Love you." Eleanor glanced at her banking app. A deposit of $48,000, laughably low for the cabin's waterfront value and the Buick's pristine condition. They'd rushed the sales for quick cash. "Safe travels, Marcus," she replied
she'd
evenly.
instructed Lydia
"Take
to
care."
investigate the loans. Many were fraudulent. Sophia had forged Marcus's signatures on several, using falsified ownership docs for the loft. Evidence mounted to clear him entirely. Spring arrived. Marcus had saved enough for a used bicycle to get to work, paid a few small bills, and volunteered weekends fixing appliances for low-income families, echoing Thomas's generosity. One April morning, Eleanor said, "Marcus, I've made an appointment with Lydia Grant. She thinks she can help with your debt mess. No cost. I cashed in an old bond." Marcus, wary of hope, agreed. In Lydia's office, sunlight streamed through blinds. Marcus sat nervously in his cleanest shirt. Lydia slid a folder across. "Mr. Hayes, we've uncovered fraud in several loans. Your ex-wife forged documents. You're not liable." Marcus blinked. How? Who paid for this investigation? Eleanor took a breath. "I did, son. There's more." She nodded to Lydia, who produced the leather portfolio originals, deeds, statements, the letter from Thomas. Marcus read in stunned silence. Eyes darted from millions in assets to the loft deed, his former home. "Mom, you're wealthy? You own the building Sophia and I lived in? You knew when I sold the cabin?" "Yes." "You knew when I came crawling back broke?" "Yes." Tears welled. Why? Why let me suffer, stocking shelves, eating ramen, when you could have fixed it? Eleanor leaned forward, voice steady but loving. Because love isn't rescue from consequences, it's preparation for life. You needed to feel the weight of your choices, not just intellectually, but in your bones. The cabin wasn't money, it was legacy. The Buick wasn't transportation, it was Dad's care. When you sold them without a thought for me, you lost more than assets. You lost perspective. I could have bailed you out and watched you repeat the pattern, chasing flash over substance. Instead, I let you rebuild from scratch. And look, you did. You're kinder now, humbler, working honestly, helping others. That's the man your father raised. Marcus wept openly. I abandoned you when you were grieving. I don't deserve this. You're my son. That's eternal. But respect, partnership, that's earned daily, and you're earning it now. Lydia cleared debts legally. Assets flourished under Eleanor's quiet management. Marcus kept both jobs part-time, enrolled in community college for financial counseling certification. I want to help people avoid my mistakes, Mom. They transformed the lake cabin into a nonprofit retreat, weekend getaways for struggling single parents and their kids, funded by rental income. Marcus ran programs teaching basic money management. Eleanor cooked meals and tended gardens with guests. One summer evening on the cabin porch, fireflies dancing over the lake, Marcus handed Eleanor a small wooden plaque he'd carved, in memory of Thomas Hayes, who taught us that true wealth is measured in love, time, and second chances. Eleanor traced the letters, eyes misty. He'd be proud, son, so proud. Marcus smiled, the genuine boyish grin she hadn't seen in years. I finally understand what he meant. It's not about having money, it's about what you do with what you have and who you are when you think no one's watching. They sat in companionable silence, lake lapping gently, stars emerging overhead. The breach had healed, not with money, but with understanding forged in hardship and grace. Years later, neighbors would say Eleanor and Marcus were inseparable, running the retreat, volunteering, living simply in the old house despite their means. And Eleanor, looking at her son teaching a wide-eyed child to fish off the same dock, would whisper to the breeze, "We did it, Thomas. He's home, for good." Did you like my story? Which city are you reading from today? Drop a comment below. I love hearing from you. If this touched your heart, consider sending a super thanks to support more stories like this. Your kindness keeps the channel growing. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for your sweet support. I'm excited to read your thoughts. On screen, you'll find 2 more uplifting life stories I highly recommend. There's so much more waiting on the channel. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. See you in the next heartfelt tale. With love and respect.